In this lesson, you are going to learn how to use the LoopOut and the LoopIn expressions to create repeating or looping animations. You might create a simple animation using keyframes. Well, then you can use one of the loop expressions and make that animation repeat forever. The loop expressions will enable you to repeat or loop your animations indefinitely. We'll create a simple animation using this logo. So first, I'm going to drag the CTI to the beginning of the timeline. That's where I want the animation to start. Then I'm going to select the logo layer, tap P to reveal the position property. I'm just going to move the logo to where I want it to start. I'm going to click on the stopwatch next to the position property to add a keyframe. I'm going to move the CTI forward in time. And if you want to be consistent with how far you move it, a good little trick, if you press the Command or Control key and tap the right arrow, that will move the CTI forward one frame at a time. I'll go back to the beginning, and I'm looking at the time code here to know where the CTI is. With Command or Control pressed, if you add the Shift key and then tap the right arrow, that'll move it forward exactly 10 frames. So that looks good. Now I'm just going to move the logo. I'll hold the Shift key after I start moving to keep it in a straight line. And I'll let go. And that adds a second keyframe. I'll press Command or Control Shift, tap the right arrow. That moves the CTI forward in time by 10 frames. Now I'm going to move the logo to the right. I'm holding the Shift key. That added a third keyframe. Command or Control Shift, right arrow. I'm going to move up. This does not have to be perfect, but I'll press Command or Control R to show the rulers. I'll drag out a guide. Now I can adjust the position of the logo so it matches the top. Now I want the animation to end exactly where it started. So a little trick here. I can just copy the first keyframe by selecting it. So I'll just click on it so it's highlighted, and then I can copy it to my clipboard. Command or Control C to copy it. So I have the position of the first keyframe copied. Then I can just move the CTI forward in time by 10 frames. So I'll press Shift Command or Shift Control, tap the right arrow, and then I can just paste that first keyframe in. So now the first and the last keyframes are identical. So if I zoom in here on the timeline, by having the first and the last keyframes identical, it should create a seamless loop. Tap the spacebar to preview. Tap the spacebar to stop. So when the CTI goes past the last keyframe, the animation stops. Now if you wanted this animation to repeat, you could just drag a selection over all the keyframes and copy them to your clipboard, Command or Control C, then just paste. And you could do this all the way down the timeline. And sometimes this is a fast and easy solution depending on what you're working on. But the loop expressions are going to make this much easier. So press Command or Control Z to undo. Now let's add a loop expression. I'm going to press the Option key on a Mac, Alt on Windows, then click on the stopwatch next to the position property. So now we can type out an expression. I'm going to type out LoopOut with a lowercase l, OOP, capital O, UT. I'll press the Shift key and tap on the left parentheses, so above the number 9. After Effects automatically adds the second parentheses. I'll press the Shift key again, then tap on the double quotations. Again, After Effects automatically puts in 2. And now I'm going to type out the word cycle. CYCLE. I'll tap the right arrow key to go outside. I'll add a semicolon, as this is best practice to end a line of an expression. I'm going to click off. I'll tap the spacebar, and like magic, this animation is now going to loop or repeat forever. And you can control the speed of the animation by just spacing out the keyframes. So I can drag a selection over all the keyframes, or just click on the position property, which will select all keyframes. And a little trick when you want to space out keyframes, but keep them spaced out proportionally, press the Option key on a Mac, Alt on Windows. I'll click on the last keyframe. If I drag to the right, that's going to slow down the animation, and you can see it's keeping the space between them proportional. If I drag to the left, that's going to speed up the animation. And I'll just drag it out to, let's say, the 3-second mark. And you can also add easy ease to smooth out the motion. So with the keyframe selected, tap F9. To show all expressions, you're going to tap the letter E 2 times, so EE. Click in the expression editor to edit, or tap the delete key if you want to remove it. I'll press Command Undo. And a little time saver tip. The LoopOut cycle is the default LoopOut expression, so you don't even have to type the word cycle if you don't want. So LoopOut open and close parentheses, that is going to do the exact same thing as the LoopOut cycle. Completely up to you though whether you want to type it or not, but you do not have to put in the word cycle for LoopOut cycle. With the keyframe selected, I'm just going to move them down the timeline. I'll tap the spacebar and you'll see there is no animation. The animation is going to start when the CTI reaches the first keyframe. And then when the CTI goes past the last keyframe, it is going to endlessly loop or repeat. So there is no looping happening when the CTI goes into the animation. The looping starts when the CTI goes out of the animation. If you want the opposite and have the looping or repeating happening before the first keyframe and then stopping after the last keyframe, you might have guessed it, you can change loop out to loop in. Drag the CTI back, so now it's looping into the animation. When the CTI reaches the first keyframe, it's going to continue the animation, and when it reaches the last keyframe, the looping stops. It is not looping out anymore, it's only looping in. The loop in expression could be useful if you wanted to control when your animation stopped. Otherwise, you're probably going to be using the loop out expressions most of the time. Loop out cycle is the default and probably the one that you'll use the most. But let's look at the others. We'll start with my favorite, which is ping pong. I'll tap P for the position property. Make sure the CTI is at the beginning of the timeline. I'm going to click on the stopwatch for position to add a keyframe. I'll move the CTI forward in time. I'm just going to move the logo to the right. I'll hold the shift key so it doesn't go up or down. Tap the spacebar to preview. To add the loop out expression, Option or Alt, click on the stopwatch for position. I'm going to type out loop out with a lowercase l, OOP, capital O, UT, open and close parentheses, double quotation marks, ping pong, all lowercase, PING, PONG. Tap the right arrow to go to the end, add a semicolon, click away, tap the spacebar, and just like a game of ping pong, the animation is going to loop back and forth forever and ever. It's moving a little slow, so I'm going to move the keyframes closer together. I'll select both keyframes, tap F9 to add easy ease, tap the spacebar, and now we have a very satisfying loop out ping pong expression. Next, let's look at the loop out offset expression. So I've created this simple animation. If I tap U to reveal all keyframes, you can see there's just 3 keyframes. I'll zoom in a little bit using the scroll wheel on my mouse, then tap the spacebar so I can move around the composition. So the first keyframe just starts right here in this position, goes up, and then it goes to the right. The loop out offset expression is going to repeat this animation between the first and last keyframes, but it calculates an offset amount. The offset amount is determined between the difference of values between the first and last keyframes, and it starts the repeat on the last keyframe, and each time it repeats, it starts again on where the last one left off. So it's going to create this sort of stair-step animation. It's easier if I just show you. So I'll press Option or Alt and click on the stopwatch next to the position property so we can add the expression. I'll type loop out offset, so lowercase l, OOP, capital O, UT, open and close parentheses, double quotation marks, offset. I'll tap return, so it's going to automatically fill it. I'll tap the right arrow key so I go outside of the parentheses and put a semicolon. I'll click away, tap the spacebar, and watch what happens. It's just going to stair step forever or really to the end of your composition. Now we see the motion path wherever there's a keyframe, but there's a little trick if you want to see the motion path that's created by the expression. Just click on this little icon right here. You see the tooltip says Show Post Expression Graph. Once I click that, now we're going to see the motion path created by the expression. And if I zoom out, you will see that is the motion path. So this is just going to continue offsetting up and over in this stair-step animation until the end of the composition. And the last of the LoopIn and LoopOut expressions is called continue. Continue is going to look at this last little segment here between the second and third keyframes, and it's just going to continue the animation. So I'll click inside the expression editor, and if you don't see the expression, remember, tap the letter E 2 times, EE, to reveal expressions. I'll click in between the double quotes. I'm going to type out continue. CON, you'll see it automatically fills. I can just hit return, click away. Animates up, goes to the third or the last keyframe, and the animation continues forever and ever and ever. And if I click that same little icon, the Show Post Expression Graph, you will see the motion path just continues in the straight line for as long as the composition duration. Well, now you know about the loop expressions, and you are going to be using them, in particular the LoopOut expression, all the time. In the next lesson, you're going to learn how to work with audio layers and audio effects in After Effects.